The alarm screamed through the command center on Cathera Prime. High Admiral Velthorin stared at the display screen with growing confusion. Something was moving toward them. Something fast. Run the scan again, he ordered. His voice was calm, but his fingers tapped the armrest of his chair. He had served the Valdran Imperium for 60 years. He had seen wars, rebellions, and alien invasions. But he had never seen anything like this. The junior officer at the sensor station nodded quickly. Her hands moved across the controls. The screen flickered, then showed the same result. A single ship was approaching Cathera Prime at a speed that should not be possible. "Sir, the readings are confirmed," she said. "One vessel. Unknown design. Current speed is 0.8 light speed. It's not slowing down." Velthorin stood up. The throne world had not been threatened in 12,000 years. 3 massive defense rings surrounded the planet. The Imperial Home Fleet, the largest and most powerful military force in the galaxy, protected it day and night. Nothing could reach Cathera Prime without permission. "Send a hail," he said. "Standard warning protocol. If they don't respond in 5 minutes, scramble the warning fleet." The communications officer sent the message. They waited. The minutes passed slowly. The unknown ship kept coming. It did not slow down. It did not answer. Velthorin felt something he had not felt in many years: unease. On board the approaching ship, Captain Jiho sat in his command chair. His face showed no emotion. Around him, the bridge crew worked in silence. They all knew what was coming. They had known since the day they returned home and found nothing but ash. "Captain, they're hailing us," Nari said from the tactical station. She was young, only 30 years old. Her voice was steady, but Jiho could see the tension in her shoulders. "Ignore it," Jiho said quietly. The ship was called the Taiguk. It was a human exploration frigate, designed for deep space missions. 3 months ago, it had been exploring a distant star system. 3 months ago, Earth had been alive. 30 billion people had been living their lives, working, laughing, raising children. Then the Valdran came. Jiho had read the reports. He had watched the recordings. The Valdran said Earth was in violation of quarantine protocols. They said humans were expanding too aggressively. They said it was necessary. They destroyed Earth in 6 hours. 30 billion people died. Cities burned. Oceans boiled. The planet that humanity called home for millions of years became a dead rock floating in space. The Taiguk had 40 crew members. 40 humans out of 30 billion. They were all that was left. "Distance to Cathera Prime?" Jiho asked. 2 hours at current speed," Minho said from the navigation station. His hands gripped the controls tightly. "They'll send ships to intercept us soon." "Good," Jiho said. "That's what we want." Hyun looked up from the engineering console. He was the oldest crew member, 55 years old. He had 3 children on Earth, past tense. "Captain, the reactor is at 120%. We can maintain this speed, but the strain is building. We'll start having system failures soon." "We only need to hold together a little longer," Jiho said. "Just long enough." Sora, the science officer, stared at her screen. She was not looking at sensor data. She was looking at a picture. Her daughter smiling, holding a flower. The picture was taken on Earth, Earth which no longer existed. She touched the screen gently, then closed the image. "All weapons are ready, Captain," she said. Her voice did not shake. Junho, the security chief, checked his rifle for the 10th time. He knew they would not need rifles. They would not be boarding any enemy ships. They would not be taking prisoners. This was not that kind of mission, but checking the rifle gave him something to do. Something to focus on besides the rage burning in his chest. "Second hail incoming," Nari reported. "They're threatening to use force if we don't stop." Jiho allowed himself a small, bitter smile. "Let them threaten. We came here to send a message. We're going to deliver it." On Cathera Prime, Velthorin received the report that the unknown ship had ignored the second hail. He made his decision quickly. "Deploy the warning fleet. Commander Wraithcal will lead. 20 battle cruisers. Intercept and disable the vessel. I want prisoners for questioning." The orders went out. Within minutes, 20 massive Valdran battle cruisers launched from the orbital stations. Each ship was 3 kilometers long, armed with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. 20 ships against 1 unknown vessel was overkill. But this was the throne world. Overkill was protocol. Commander Wraithcal stood on the bridge of his flagship. He studied the sensor readings of the approaching ship. It was small, primitive design, crude propulsion system. He could not understand how it had achieved such high speed. Perhaps it would explode before they even reached it. "Surround the vessel," he ordered. "Weapons ready, but do not fire unless it shows aggression. We want information." The 20 battle cruisers moved into position. They formed a sphere around the approaching ship's projected path. The unknown vessel would fly right into their trap. Aboard the Taeguk, Nari counted the enemy ships on her screen. 20 battle cruisers. They're moving to intercept. Surrounding formation, Jiho nodded. Minho maintained course and speed. "Don't change anything." "They're going to shoot us," Minho said. It was not a question. "Yes," Jiho agreed. "They are." "Hyun's status on the main weapon?" "Charged and ready," Hyun replied. "But Captain, we only have one shot. After that, the reactor will be spent." "One shot is all we need," Jiho said. He stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. Through the window, he could see the stars. Somewhere behind them, far away, was the empty space where Earth used to be. "Listen to me," Jiho said. His crew stopped working and looked at him. "We all lost everything. Our families, our friends, our world. The Valdrin took it all from us. They didn't just kill 30 billion people. They erased our history, our culture. Everything we were." He paused. The bridge was silent except for the hum of the engines. "We can't bring Earth back," Jiho continued. "We can't save anyone. We're going to die today, but before we do, we're going to make sure the Valdrin remember us. We're going to make sure they regret what they did. We're going to make them afraid." Yoonji, the weapons officer, looked up at him. Tears ran down her face, but she smiled. "For Earth," she said. "For Earth," the crew repeated together. The Taeguk flew forward. Ahead of them, 20 battle cruisers waited. Behind them, a dead planet floated in the darkness. And in front of them, the throne world of the Valdrin Imperium grew larger in the windows. Wraithcal watched the small ship approach. It still had not slowed down. Foolish, suicidal, he opened a communication channel. "Unknown vessel. This is Commander Wraithcal of the Valdrin Imperial Fleet. You are ordered to stop immediately and prepare for boarding. If you do not comply, we will open fire." For a long moment, there was no response. Then a voice came through the speakers. A male voice speaking in clear Valdrin language. "This is Captain Jiho of the human ship Taeguk. You destroyed our world. We have one question. Why?" Wraithcal frowned. "Humans." He accessed the database. Yes, there it was. Quarantine zone violation. Standard elimination protocol. Completed 3 months ago. The species should be extinct. Your people violated Imperial law, Wraithcal said simply. The decision was made by the High Council. It was necessary for galactic security. There was a pause. Then the human voice spoke again. It sounded different now. Colder. "Necessary," Jiho repeated slowly. 30 billion lives necessary, I see. "One more question, Commander. Do you have a family on Cathara Prime?" Wraithcal felt a chill run through him. He suddenly understood. This was not a lost ship. This was revenge. All ships, he ordered quickly. "Open fire. Destroy that vessel now." 20 battlecruisers opened fire at once. 20 battlecruisers fired at once. The space around the Taeguk filled with energy beams and plasma bolts. Each battlecruiser had weapons designed to cut through heavy armor and strong shields. Together, they created enough firepower to destroy a small planet. The Taeguk did not try to dodge. It flew straight into the storm of weapons fire. "Brace for impact," Nari shouted. The ship shook violently. Explosions bloomed across the hull. Warning alarms screamed. But the Taeguk kept moving forward. Wraithcal watched his tactical display in disbelief. The human ship should have been vaporized. Instead, it was still coming. "Increase fire. All weapons!" "Commander, their shields are down," his tactical officer reported. "But our energy weapons are not working properly. The hull is absorbing the impact." Wraithcal leaned forward. "What do you mean, absorbing?" "The hull material is not standard. It's not dispersing energy like normal armor. It's converting it. Using it somehow." On the Taeguk, Hyun managed a grim smile despite the chaos. "Reactive armor is holding. Their energy weapons are charging our secondary systems just like we planned." The humans had learned something important in their final months. The Valdrin Imperium had been the dominant power for thousands of years. Their weapons technology had not changed much. Why would it? Energy weapons were clean, efficient, and powerful. Every species used them, but humans were desperate. And desperate people innovate. The Teguk's hull was covered in experimental reactive plating. It took energy weapon impacts and converted them into electrical power. The more the Valdrin shot, the more power the human ship gained. Nari, target their engines, Jiho ordered. Yunji, fire when ready. The Teguk had no energy weapons. Humans had something the Valdrin had not used in warfare for centuries. Kinetic weapons, railguns that fired solid metal slugs at incredible speeds, missiles with conventional explosives, and one special payload that humanity had been developing for peaceful purposes. Firing, Yunji said. The railguns opened fire. Metal slugs, each the size of a car, shot out at 10% light speed. The Valdrin shields were designed to deflect or absorb energy. They did nothing against solid metal moving at relativistic speeds. 3 battlecruisers exploded immediately. The slugs punched through their shields like they were paper. The metal tore through their hulls and destroyed their reactors. Impossible, Wraithcal shouted. How are they penetrating our shields? His science officer looked terrified. Commander, they're using kinetic weapons. Physical projectiles. Our shields are not calibrated for that kind of attack. Wraithcal had studied military history. He knew that ancient civilizations had used kinetic weapons, but that was thousands of years ago. No modern species used them. They were primitive, inefficient, except apparently against Valdrin shields. Recalibrate shields for kinetic defense, he ordered. And keep firing. But it was too late. The Teguk fired its missiles. Dozens of them streaked toward the Valdrin ships. These were not normal missiles. They had nuclear warheads. The Valdrin had not seen nuclear weapons in combat for millennia. Most species abandoned them when they developed energy weapons. Nuclear explosions were dangerous, unpredictable, and left radiation. They were considered barbaric. But the humans no longer cared about such things. Earth was gone. The rules no longer mattered. The missiles struck. Nuclear fire bloomed in the darkness of space. The explosions caught 5 more battlecruisers. Their shields flickered and died. Their hulls melted. The ships broke apart. On Cathara Prime, Velthorin watched in horror as 8 of his ships disappeared from the tactical display. 8 battlecruisers destroyed in less than 3 minutes. By a single small ship. Get me the Emperor, he said quietly. Aboard the Teguk, Jisoo worked frantically in the medical bay. The ship was taking damage despite the reactive armor. Explosions had caused injuries throughout the vessel. 3 crew members were already dead. Stay with me, she told a wounded engineer. The man's leg was crushed by fallen debris. She gave him pain medication and worked to stop the bleeding. She was young, only 23. She had graduated medical school just before the Teguk left on its mission. She should have been starting her career on Earth, but Earth was gone. Her parents were gone. Everyone she knew was gone. So she kept working, kept saving the lives she could save for as long as she could. Another explosion rocked the ship. Jisoo fell against the wall. The wounded engineer screamed. She pulled herself up and continued working. On the bridge, Minho struggled to keep the ship on course. We've lost maneuvering thrusters on the port side. Compensating with starboard thrusters, but our trajectory is starting to drift. Keep us pointed at Cathara Prime, Jiho ordered. That's all that matters. Nari reported the enemy status. 12 battlecruisers left. They're backing away, trying to increase distance. They're learning, Hyun said. They're going to try to hit us from long range where our kinetic weapons are less effective. Jiho nodded. Yunji, give them something to worry about. Fire the last of our missiles. Target the closest ships. The final missiles launched. The Valdrin battlecruisers shot them down, but it kept them busy. It kept them focused on defense instead of offense. Captain, we're breaking through their formation, Minho reported. The way to Cathara Prime is clear. Then take us through, Jiho said. The Teguk accelerated. The remaining Valdrin ships tried to pursue, but the human frigate was faster. Damaged, on fire, trailing atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches, but still faster. Rithakal watched the small ship escape. He had lost 15 battlecruisers, 15 of the most powerful ships in the Imperium, against one primitive vessel. Follow them, he ordered, and send a message to Cathara Prime. Tell them the unknown ship is hostile. Tell them it's heading directly for the throne world. Tell them. He paused. Tell them we could not stop it. On the Teguk, the crew took a moment to breathe. Around them, the ship groaned and creaked. Fires burned in 3 sections. Life support was failing in 2 decks. But they were through the first line of defense. Junho moved through the corridors, checking on crew members. He found bodies. Friends who had died when their sections lost atmosphere. He dragged them to the storage bay. They would not be left floating in space. Not if he could help it. How many? Jiho asked when Junho returned to the bridge. 17, Junho said quietly. 17 dead. 23 of us left. The bridge was silent for a moment. They had known people would die. They had accepted it. But knowing and experiencing were different things. They died fighting, Sora said. They died making sure the Valdrin remember Earth. That means something. It means everything, Jiho agreed. He looked at his remaining crew. We're halfway there. The throne world has 2 more defense rings. Thousands of ships. We're not going to survive this. We knew that before we started, Nari said simply. Jiho smiled sadly. Yes, we did. But I want to make sure everyone understands. This is the point of no return. If anyone wants to use the escape pods, I won't stop them. You've already done more than anyone could ask. No one moved. No one spoke. They all just looked at their captain. Finally, Yunji broke the silence. My husband and son were on Earth. I'm not stopping until every Valdrin in the galaxy knows their names. My parents ran a restaurant in Seoul, Minho added. Best noodles in the city. I'm going to make sure the people who killed them have nightmares. One by one, every crew member spoke. They all had stories. They all had people they lost. And they were all going to see this through to the end. All right then, Jiho said. Let's show the Valdrin what happens when they anger humanity. Minho, set course for Cathera Prime, full speed. Don't stop for anything. The Teguk burned through space toward the throne world. Behind them, the wreckage of 15 battlecruisers floated in the darkness. Ahead of them, 600 automated weapons platforms waited. The first defense ring was breached. The second was waiting. On Cathara Prime, Emperor Kethis III sat on his throne. He listened to the report from Velthorin. A single human ship had destroyed 15 battlecruisers and was heading straight for his world. Activate the first planetary defense ring, the Emperor ordered. Destroy this ship. Show these humans why Cathara Prime has never fallen. Velthorin bowed. Yes, my Emperor, he sent the command. Around the planet, 600 weapons platforms came to life. Each platform had firepower equal to a battlecruiser. 600 platforms, all targeting one small human ship. It should have been the end. But the humans were not done surprising the Valdrin Imperium. The Teguk flew toward Cathara Prime with its engines screaming. Every system on the ship was damaged. Fires burned in 3 sections. The hull had cracks running through it like spider webs, but the ship kept moving. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures ahead, Nari said. Her voice was tight with tension. 600 weapons platforms. They're surrounding the planet in a sphere formation. Jiho studied the tactical display. 600 platforms, each one designed to destroy capital ships, all targeting his vessel. How much time until we're in range? 5 minutes, Minho answered. Captain, even if we survive the platforms, we still have to deal with the home fleet. 2,000 ships are positioned around the planet. One problem at a time, Jiho said calmly. Hyun, what's our status? Hyun looked exhausted. He had been working non-stop since the battle with the battlecruisers. Reactor is at 140%. It's a miracle we haven't exploded yet. Weapons are functional, but we're running low on ammunition. We used most of our missiles on the battlecruisers. We have maybe 20 railgun slugs left and 2 nuclear warheads. That's more than enough, Jiho said. We don't need to destroy all the platforms. We just need to get through them. Sora pulled up a scan of the defense ring on her screen. The platforms are automated. They use a networked targeting system. They share data between each other to maximize firing efficiency. That's their weakness then, Jiho said. If they're networked, they're predictable. Nari, can we jam their communications? Not all of them, Nari replied. But I can create interference. Enough to confuse them for maybe 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Jiho repeated. Minho, can you get us through the defense ring in 30 seconds? Minho looked at the numbers on his screen. He ran calculations in his head. If we burn everything the reactor has left, maybe. But Captain, the stress on the hull will be extreme. We might break apart even without them shooting at us. We're going to break apart anyway, Junho said from his station. Might as well make it count. Jiho stood up. He walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere behind them, far away, was the empty space where Earth used to be. His wife had been there. His daughter had been there. 30 billion people had been there. Listen to me, Jiho said to his crew. We've already accomplished something incredible. We destroyed 15 of their battle cruisers. We've proven that humans can fight back. If we die right now, we die as warriors. We die having hurt them." He turned to face them. "But I don't want to just hurt them. I want to terrify them. I want every Valdrin in this galaxy to look at the stars and wonder if there's another human ship out there, coming for them. I want them to regret what they did to Earth. Can we do that?" The crew was silent for a moment. Then Yunji spoke up. "My targeting systems are damaged. I can't guarantee accuracy beyond 60%. "Then we'll have to get close," Jiho said. "The hull can't take much more damage," Hyun added. "One more major hit and we'll lose structural integrity." "Then we don't get hit," Jiho replied. "I'm scared," Jisoo said quietly from the medical bay over the intercom. Everyone on the bridge could hear her. "I'm really scared." Jiho's expression softened. "So am I, Jisoo, so am I, but fear is normal. Fear means we're still alive. And as long as we're alive, we can fight." "For Earth," Jisoo said, her voice stronger now. "For Earth," the crew echoed. On Cathera Prime, Velthorin watched the human ship approach the defense ring. Around him, the command center was filled with military officers. They all watched the same display. One small ship against 600 weapons platforms. "They're going to die," one officer said. "There's no way through." "They've survived this long," Velthorin replied. "Don't underestimate them." The Emperor's voice came through the speakers. "Admiral, I'm watching from the palace. Tell me you can stop this ship." "The defense ring will stop them, my Emperor," Velthorin said. "Nothing can survive 600 platforms firing at once." But even as he said it, he felt doubt. This human ship had already done the impossible twice. What if it did it again? Aboard the Taeguk, Nari worked at her station. Her fingers flew across the controls. "Jamming signal ready. I can activate it when we're in range." "Yunji, I need you to do something for me," Jiho said. "Don't shoot at the platforms. Shoot at their sensor arrays, the parts that let them target us." "Can you do that?" Onji studied her weapons display. "The sensor arrays are smaller targets. With my damage systems, I'll miss more than I hit. But I can try. That's all I ask," Jiho said. The Taeguk approached the defense ring. On every platform, weapons charged. Targeting systems locked onto the small human ship. 600 platforms, thousands of weapons, all pointing at the Taeguk. "Entering weapons range in 10 seconds, Nari said. 9 seconds, Minho counted down. 8, 7, the crew held their breath. This was it, the moment that would decide if they lived or died. 3, 2, 1, activate jamming, Jiho ordered. "Miho, maximum speed." "Unji, fire everything." The Taeguk suddenly accelerated. The reactor screamed. The hull groaned under the stress. Nari activated her jamming signal. Electromagnetic interference flooded the space around them. The weapons platforms fired. But the jamming confused their targeting. Beams that should have hit the Taeguk missed by meters. Plasma bolts exploded in empty space. Yunji fired the railguns. She aimed not at the platforms themselves, but at the delicate sensor arrays on their surfaces. Metal slugs shot through space. Some missed, but some hit. Sensors exploded. Platforms went blind. The platforms tried to compensate. They switched to backup sensors. They tried to share targeting data, but the jamming was too strong. The network connection was broken. "They're firing blind," Nari shouted. "Keep moving." Minho pushed the ship into a crazy spiral pattern. Left, right, up, down. The Taeguk weaved through the storm of weapons fire. Energy beams passed so close they scorched the hull. Plasma bolts exploded nearby, buffeting the ship with shockwaves. In the medical bay, Jisoo held onto a support rail as the ship spun wildly. Equipment fell from shelves. The wounded engineer she had been treating rolled across the floor. She grabbed him and held him down. "We're going to make it," she told him. "We're going to make it." On the bridge, warning alarms screamed. "Hull breach on deck 3, Yun shouted. "We're venting atmosphere." "Seal it," Jiho ordered. "I'm trying." "Emergency bulkheads are not responding." Uno ran from the bridge. He sprinted through the corridors toward deck 3. The breach was near the crew quarters. He reached the section and found the problem. The emergency bulkhead door was jammed. Debris from an earlier hit had bent the frame. The corridor beyond was open to space. Air rushed out in a howling wind. Uno grabbed a crowbar and jammed it into the doorframe. He pushed with all his strength. The metal groaned. His muscles burned. But the door would not move. "Come on!" He screamed at the door. He thought of his brother. His brother who had been a teacher on Earth. His brother who had taught children to read. His brother who had died in nuclear fire. Junho pushed harder. The door moved. Just a little. He pushed again. The door moved more. With one final effort, he threw all his weight against the crowbar. The door unstuck and slammed shut. The howling wind stopped. Junho collapsed against the wall, gasping for breath. "Breach sealed," he said into his communicator. On the bridge, Minho checked their position. "We're halfway through the defense ring. Another 15 seconds, but 15 seconds was an eternity in combat." The platforms were adapting. They stopped trying to predict the ship's movement. They simply filled the entire area with weapons fire. If they could not hit the ship directly, they would saturate the space it was in. "Captain, they're changing tactics," Nari warned. An energy beam clipped the Teguk's port side. The ship spun wildly. Another beam hit the stern. An explosion tore through the engine room. "We've lost the secondary reactor," Yun shouted. "Primary reactor is failing. I can't keep this speed." "You have to," Jiho said. "Just 10 more seconds." "Captain, I can give you more power," Yun said slowly. "But I'll have to shut down life support to do it." "Do it," Jiho ordered without hesitation. "But sir, without life support?" "We only need to survive 10 more seconds," Jiho interrupted. "We don't need to breathe for 10 seconds. Do it now." Yun shut down life support. All that power diverted to the engines. The Taiguk surged forward. The ship shook like it was tearing itself apart. Because it was 5 seconds, 4 seconds, another hit. The bridge lights flickered. Consoles exploded. Nari cried out as sparks hit her face. 3 seconds. 2 seconds, the hull cracked. Atmosphere vented from a dozen new breaches. But they were through. The Taiguk broke through the defense ring. Behind them, 600 platforms continued firing. But the human ship was past them now. Out of range. On Cathera Prime, Velthorin stared at his display in disbelief. "They're through. They actually made it through." The Emperor's voice came through the speakers. It was no longer calm. "How is this possible? How can one ship—" "My Emperor, they're approaching the planet," Velthorin interrupted. "We need to deploy the home fleet." "Deploy everything," the Emperor ordered. "Every ship. Every weapon. I want that vessel destroyed." Aboard the Taiguk, life support came back online. The crew gasped for air. Minho checked their position. "We're in orbit around Cathera Prime. We made it." Nari's hands moved across the damaged console. Sparks flew from cracked panels. "Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on every frequency. Military, civilian, everything. Everyone on Cathera Prime can hear you now." Jiho stood in the center of the ruined bridge. Blood ran down his face from a cut above his eye. His uniform was torn and burned. But his voice was steady. "People of the Valdrin Imperium, my name is Captain Jiho. I am human. 3 months ago, your military destroyed my home planet. They killed 30 billion people. Men, women, children. They erased an entire civilization. Do you know why?" He paused. "On Cathera Prime, billions of Valdrins stopped what they were doing. In homes, offices, and streets, they listened to the voice coming from their communication devices. A human voice. A species they thought was extinct. Your leaders said we were primitive," Jiho continued. "They said we were aggressive. They said eliminating us was necessary for galactic security. They called it protocol. They called it policy. We call it murder." In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Kethis III stood from his throne. "Cut that transmission," he ordered. "We're trying, my Emperor," a technician said frantically. "But they're broadcasting on too many frequencies at once, and they're using some kind of signal boost. It's being heard across the entire planet." The Emperor's fists clenched. "Then jam all communications. Shut down the entire network if you have to." But it was too late. Millions of Valdrin were already recording the message. It was spreading. Jiho kept talking. "We didn't come here to negotiate. We didn't come here to surrender. We came here to teach you something your empire forgot. Actions have consequences. You wanted to eliminate us? Congratulations. You created something worse than enemies. You created people with nothing left to lose." On board the Taiguk, Taeyang worked furiously at the communications console. He made sure the message reached everywhere. Every ship, every city, every communication relay. The whole planet would hear this. "We are the last humans," Jiho said. His voice grew harder. "We watched our world burn. We saw everyone we loved die, and now we're here. 23 of us. 23 humans against the entire Valdrin Imperium. Does that sound fair to you?" Around Cathara Prime, 2,000 ships of the Imperial Home Fleet moved into position. Every warship the Valdrin had. They surrounded the small human frigate like predators circling wounded prey. You're probably wondering why I'm telling you this, Jiho continued. Why am I wasting time with words when your fleet is surrounding us? Because I want you to understand something important. We didn't come here to win. We came here to make sure you remember. Remember Earth, remember humanity. Remember what happens when you destroy an entire species. Velthorin listened to the broadcast from the command center. Around him, officers stood frozen. They were all listening. Even knowing this human was their enemy, they could not stop listening. Look at your displays, Jiho said. One small ship damaged, dying. We destroyed 15 of your battle cruisers. We broke through 600 weapons platforms. We reached your throne world, and you know what? We're not done yet. On the Taiguk, Hyun checked the reactor readings. Captain, we have maybe 3 minutes left. The core is going critical. Then we use those 3 minutes, Jiho said. He turned back to the communication channel. To the families of the soldiers we killed today, I'm sorry. I'm sorry your government sent them to stop us. I'm sorry they died for nothing. But I want you to know something. Every one of them had a family. Every one of them had dreams. Just like the 30 billion people you killed on Earth. Your soldiers were following orders. My people were just living their lives. In the homes of Valdrin citizens, parents held their children closer. Workers stopped their jobs. Students put down their books. They all listened to the dying human captain. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, Jiho said. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just making sure you understand. This is what happens when you commit genocide. This is what happens when you think some lives matter less than others. This is what happens when you make 30 billion people desperate for justice. You get us. You get 23 humans in a broken ship who are going to make sure you never forget our names. Aboard the Home Fleet flagship, Admiral Vorath received direct orders from the Emperor. Destroy that ship now, no more delays. All ships, Vorath commanded. Target the human vessel. Fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1, fire. 2,000 warships opened fire at once. The space around the Taiguk lit up like a star. Energy beams and plasma bolts converged on the small frigate. There was no escape. No defense. Just overwhelming firepower. The Taiguk was engulfed in fire. On Cathara Prime, people watched through their windows. In the sky above, a bright light appeared. The human ship, dying. For a moment, there was silence across the planet. Then people started asking questions. Who were these humans? Why were they destroyed? What had they done to deserve extinction? The Emperor would have to answer these questions. But right now, he was just relieved. The threat was eliminated. The human ship was destroyed. Except it was not. Through the fire and explosions, the Taiguk kept moving. Its hull was melting. Its engines were dying, but it was still moving. Still heading toward the planet. How? Admiral Vorath whispered. How is it still functioning? On the Taiguk's bridge, everything was on fire. Half the consoles had exploded. The air was full of smoke. But the crew was still alive. Barely. Hull integrity at 5%, Hyun gasped. He was bleeding from multiple wounds. Reactor will explode in 90 seconds. Minho, can you get us closer to the planet? Jiho asked. Minho's station was destroyed. He was operating the navigation controls manually, using emergency backups. I can point us at it. That's about all. That's enough, Jiho said. He opened the communication channel one more time. This is my final message. To any human still alive out there in deep space, I know you're going to hear about Earth. I know you're going to feel what we felt. Don't let that grief destroy you. Use it. Make sure our species is remembered. Make sure the Valdrin regret what they did. Jisoo crawled onto the bridge. Her medical bay was destroyed. Her patients were dead. She was covered in blood and burns, but she was alive. And to the Valdrin, Jiho continued. His voice was weaker now. You're probably celebrating right now. You're probably thinking you won. But here's the thing. We're not the last humans. There are other ships out there. Exploring distant stars. They're going to come home. They're going to find Earth destroyed. And they're going to do exactly what we did. Emperor Kethis III felt a chill run through him. Other humans? How many? How many ships would come seeking revenge? You see, Jiho said, you made a mistake. You destroyed our planet, but you didn't destroy our spirit. You didn't destroy our will to fight. You just showed every human in the galaxy exactly what kind of species you are. And now they're going to make sure the whole galaxy knows too. The Tiguk broke through the atmosphere of Cathera Prime. It was on fire. Pieces were breaking off. But it was still moving. 50 seconds until reactor explosion, Hyun said. Where are we heading? Jiho asked. Sora checked her damaged sensors. Northern continent. Mountainous region. Low population density. Good, Jiho said quietly. I don't want to kill civilians. This is between us and their government. Nari looked at her captain. Sir, we could aim for the palace. We could kill the Emperor. Jiho shook his head. No, we're not murderers. We're soldiers. We hit military targets. We don't kill civilians just because we're angry. That's what makes us different from them. The crew understood. Even in their final moments, they would not become what the Valdren were. They would not commit genocide. Captain, Taeyang said. The message is still broadcasting. The whole planet heard everything. Good, Jiho said. That's what we came here for. To make sure they know, to make sure they remember. The Daeguk streaked across the sky of Cathera Prime like a falling star. Below, Valdren citizens looked up and watched. They saw the burning human ship. They thought about the message they had just heard. Some felt guilt. Some felt fear. Some felt anger. But they all felt something. And that was the point. 20 seconds, Hyun said. The crew gathered on the ruined bridge. They held each other. Friends who had become family. I'm scared, Jisoo said again. Me too, Jiho admitted. But we did it. We made them remember. For Earth, Yoonji whispered. For Earth, they all repeated. The Taeguk impacted in the northern mountains of Cathera Prime. For a fraction of a second, nothing happened. Then the reactor exploded. But this was not a normal explosion. Hyun had made modifications in the final minutes. He had channeled all the remaining energy into a device the humans had been developing for science. A dark matter generator. Something meant to study the fabric of space and time. But in dying hands, science becomes a weapon. The reactor did not just explode. It collapsed. It created a microscopic black hole right in the heart of the explosion. For 30 seconds, the black hole existed. It pulled in everything around it. Rock, air, and 700 Valdren warships that had been too close. The mountain range vanished. Pulled into the black hole. A crater 50 kilometers wide appeared in seconds. The northern ocean rushed in to fill it. In the Imperial Palace, the entire eastern wing collapsed. The Emperor was thrown from his throne. Around him, walls cracked and ceilings fell. Emperor Kethis III stood in what remained of his throne room. The eastern wall was gone. He could see the sky through the hole. In the distance, he could see smoke rising from the northern mountains. Or rather, from where the mountains used to be. Report, he said. His voice was quiet but filled with anger. High Admiral Velthorin approached carefully. His uniform was covered in dust. My Emperor, the human ship is destroyed. All crew confirmed dead. However, we have lost 700 ships from the home fleet. They were caught in the gravitational anomaly. 700 ships. The Emperor repeated slowly. Plus the 15 battle cruisers. Plus the defense platforms. One human ship cost us over 700 vessels and killed thousands of our people. Yes, my Emperor. The Emperor walked to the edge of the broken floor. He looked out at his capital city. Buildings were damaged. Fires burned in several districts. The Northern Ocean was flooding inland, creating a new sea where mountains used to stand. What did he call it? The Emperor asked. What did that human captain call what they did? He said they came to teach us about consequences, my Emperor. Consequences, the Emperor whispered. He turned back to face his admiral. Tell me about the other humans, the ones still in space. How many ships? Velthorin pulled up a data pad. Our intelligence estimates 12 to 15 human vessels in deep space. Most are exploration ships. Some are research vessels, small crews, 20 to 50 people per ship. So between 200 and 700 humans still alive, the Emperor calculated, and they're all going to receive news about Earth soon. Some may already know, my Emperor. We're detecting increased communication traffic in former human space. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Outside, emergency sirens wailed. Rescue workers searched through rubble. His own palace guards were still pulling survivors from collapsed sections of the building. Summon the High Council, the Emperor ordered. Immediately. We need to discuss our options. 3 hours later, the High Council assembled in an emergency meeting chamber. 20 of the most powerful Valdrin in the Imperium gathered around a long table. They all looked shaken. "We have a crisis," the Emperor said without preamble. "The human species is not extinct. There are survivors. And after what happened today, they are going to seek revenge. We need to decide how to respond." Councillor Rethmos stood up. He was an old Valdrin, a veteran of many wars. "My Emperor, the solution is simple. We find these human ships and destroy them. We finish what we started." Several councillors nodded in agreement, but others looked uncertain. "And how do we do that?" Councillor Isa asked. She was younger, a scientist before entering politics. "The galaxy is vast. These ships could be anywhere. How many resources will we spend searching for them? How many ships will we lose?" "We already lost over 700 ships to one vessel," Councillor Dran added. "If the other human ships are equally determined, equally creative in their tactics, we could lose thousands more." "They're primitives," Rethmos argued. "They just got lucky. We should hunt them down before they can cause more damage." "Lucky?" Velthorin spoke up. The Admiral was not usually part of council meetings, but the Emperor had asked him to attend. "Respectfully, Councillor, what happened today was not luck. The humans knew exactly what they were doing. They studied our weapons, our shields, our tactics. They found our weaknesses and exploited them. They were willing to sacrifice everything to hurt us. That's not luck. That's strategy." The room fell silent. The councillors looked uncomfortable. The Valdrin Imperium had been the dominant power for thousands of years. They had not faced a real threat in centuries. The idea that a supposedly primitive species could challenge them was difficult to accept. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" the Emperor asked. Velthorin stood up straight. "My Emperor, we have two options. Option 1 is to hunt down every human ship and destroy them. This will cost us many ships and many lives, and it will not change what happened today. Every species in the galaxy now knows that a single human vessel nearly reached you. They know that the Valdrin Imperium is not invincible." "And option 2, the Emperor asked quietly. "We stop," Velthorin said. "We admit that destroying Earth was a mistake. We offer peace to the surviving humans. We give them resources to rebuild. We show the galaxy that the Valdrin Imperium can acknowledge its errors. Peace?" Rethmos laughed harshly. "With species that just attacked us? That killed thousands of our people? You want us to reward them?" "I want us to survive," Velthorin replied. The human captain was right about one thing. Actions have consequences. If we continue hunting them, they will continue fighting. And based on what I saw today, they will hurt us badly, maybe fatally. The debate continued for hours. Some councillors wanted war. Others wanted peace. The Emperor listened to all of them. Finally, he made his decision. "We will stand down," the Emperor announced. "Effective immediately. All military operations in former human space are cancelled. We will not pursue the remaining human ships. Instead, we will broadcast a message. An apology, and an offer of peace." "My Emperor," Rethmos protested. "This is madness. It shows weakness." "It shows wisdom," the Emperor replied coldly. "The human captain taught us a valuable lesson today. Sometimes the strongest choice is to admit when you're wrong. Prepare the broadcast." 2 days later, the Emperor's message went out across the galaxy. It was unprecedented. A Valdrin Emperor apologizing, offering reparations, promising to honor the memory of Earth. But the message took time to travel, and in the darkness between stars, human ships were already moving. Captain Yuna of the survey ship, Mugungwa, received the news about Earth 3 days after the battle at Cathara Prime. She sat in her captain's chair and watched the recordings. 30 billion people dead. Earth destroyed. Jiho and the crew of the Teguk dead. She had 12 crew members. 12 humans left from her ship. She called them all to the bridge. "You've all seen the news," she said. "Earth is gone. Most of humanity is gone. The Valdrin killed them all." Her crew sat in silence. Some were crying. Some looked angry. Some looked numb with shock. "The Emperor has apologized," Yuna continued. "He's offering peace, reparations. He says the attack on Earth was a mistake." "A mistake," her science officer Daehyun said bitterly. 30 billion people. A mistake. "What are we going to do, Captain?" her engineer Minji asked. She was young, only 25. Her whole family had been on Earth. Yuna was quiet for a long time. She thought about Jiho. She thought about his final message. She thought about consequences. The Emperor apologized. Yuna said slowly. But an apology is just words. Words don't bring back the dead. Words don't give us back our world. She stood up and walked to the navigation console. Her fingers moved across the controls. However, she continued, I'm not Jiho. I'm not going to sacrifice this crew for revenge. That's not what humanity should be remembered for. Her crew looked confused. But I'm also not going to let the Valdrin forget, Yuna said. I'm setting course for the Valdrin colony world of Serethis. Population 60 billion. One of their most important worlds, Captain, her tactical officer Kangman asked carefully. What are you planning? I'm going to give them a choice, Yuna explained. I'm going to tell them we're coming. I'm going to give them 72 hours to evacuate. Then we're going to demonstrate our weapons on their planet. Not on cities, not on civilians, on uninhabited areas, mountains, oceans, places where no one will die. You want to scare them, Daehyun realized. I want them to feel what we felt, Yuna corrected. I want them to experience the fear of losing their world. I want them to know what it's like to run, to evacuate, to watch your home become a target. And then I want them to realize that we showed mercy, that we gave them something they never gave us, a warning, a choice, a chance. She turned to face her crew. Jiho wanted the Valdrin to remember. I want them to learn. I want them to understand that humans are not just victims. We're not just warriors. We're teachers. And we're going to teach them what mercy looks like, what justice looks like, and what consequences look like. Her crew slowly nodded. It was not the revenge some of them wanted, but it was something. It was a message. Prepare the broadcast, Yuna ordered, and someone get me a line to the Valdrin emergency network. I want to make sure they hear this. 3 hours later, her message reached Serethis. The colony world's governor listened in horror as a human captain explained what was coming. 72 hours. Then weapons demonstrations. The governor immediately ordered an evacuation. 60 billion Valdrin scrambled to leave their homes. They packed what they could carry. They boarded transports. They fled, and they were terrified. On Cathara Prime, the Emperor received the news. His worst fear was coming true. Another human ship. Another attack. Should we send the fleet? Velthorin asked. No, the Emperor said after a moment. She's giving them a warning. She's giving them time to evacuate. She's showing more mercy than we showed Earth. Let her make her demonstration. Let our people see what we caused. Maybe then they'll understand. 72 hours later, the Mugungwa arrived at Serethis. The planet was almost empty. Most of the population had evacuated. Only a few thousand remained, either unable or unwilling to leave. Yuna targeted an uninhabited mountain range. She fired a single nuclear warhead. The mountain exploded.